Well, howdy, and welcome back once again to the Withlacoochee River Railroad. And, well, here's the building I picked up yesterday at the train sale at Dana's. And, by golly, it's not a bad-looking little building. It looks like a little county courthouse, which is, the main reason I had originally picked it up was I was looking to build a church out of it, but, I guess it'll work as a county courthouse. We'll get a church in that courthouse square I'm kind of formulating in my head. But I put this, the building wasn't falling apart by any means. It was pretty well glued together. I believe it's a K-Lineville building. Because let's face it, the Plasticville buildings didn't ever really look this good. While K-Lineville was it was very similar to the Plasticville castings, it had a little bit better detail like this one does. Anyway, I'm wanting to kind of paint the structure. You know, one of the ways to make a plastic building look more like a real building is you got to paint the building. You got to paint it. Even though you may not want to, you got to paint it. So, what I'm going to do today is show you how that can easily be done. Now, I'm not going to necessarily do much to the roof or anything like that, but in order to get the brick to look more realistic, because this is a brick structure, it'd be nice if I had some brick pilasters to put on the corners and stuff, but nah, I guess not. We're not going to have that. Anyway, I like to paint the entire structure, all the brick on it, gray. And believe it or not, that actually helps with it. That helps it. And then this will be some kind of a white, maybe an off-white. I probably have it somewhere. As far as the clock and stuff goes, I might just mask those off, because there's really no reason to really mess with that. That's fairly nicely done. I've got the finial on it up top. So, there's a couple of ways to go about making a brick structure look like the brick structure it's meant to look like. First of all, paint everything kind of a gray color or whatever your mortar is going to be. Just paint it all that color. And that'll provide a primer on the brick as well. Then you come back in with a sponge, a cosmetic sponge, and you use about 2-3 different shades of brick red or whatever it is you're going to use, and you dab it, you dry dab it onto the brick. I can show you how that's done. I don't know that I necessarily want to do the whole building, but I'm going to show you how that's done anyway on this one end here. And that'll give me the whatever inspiration I need to continue. All right, now like I said, you just come in with you want a nice light gray to do this with. And you're going to end up going over windows. You know, everything was pretty much installed in this one anyway. So, and I know with that cinder block sheets I bought yesterday, I could actually take and do some do some very decorative corner work here. I just don't really feel like making a bunch of corner beads. But your idea here is to get everything down into the mortar lines. Get it in there very well. I kind of like this building. It looks like a nice downtown courthouse type building, doesn't it? Another way of doing it is to paint all your bricks the different various shades of bricks you want your brick colors to be. And you should always have varying color of brick. Don't paint the bricks all one uniform color, because when you do that, you end up messing things up. Okay, now I got the brush soaking. We're going to let this dry for a little bit, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you how to do the brick. Okay, I got the gray painted onto the building. It's a nice light gray, and now we're going to get ready to, here in a little bit, as soon as all that paint dries, we'll get ready to start putting the brick red on. One of the things I like to have is about several colors of brick red in the mix. So I take and I have one of these. Yeah, you can get them cheap. You can usually pick them up at Walmart or at Michael's or at Hobby Lobby. It pays to have them because this way you can have 2 or 3 colors that you need. Hey, it's almost like using an airbrush, isn't it? Anyway, let me go see if I can find my cosmetic sponges, and I'll be back. Okay, your typical cosmetic sponges are like this here, and they'll come in little squares like this or in little circles, and you just break them off. You'll want 3, maybe 4 different colors of brick. I've got 4 cosmetic sponges. Maybe I've got 4 different reds I can use. And we'll need some rag or paper towel material around. Something we can dab it on, because it's almost like dry brushing, only you're doing it with a different, you're doing it with the sponge. Now, the reason I'm not using those crafty, well, I guess they call them a paintbrush, but it's not really a paintbrush. What it is like a foam rubber piece on the end of a stick. The reason I'm not using those is they don't work like a cosmetic sponge does. This is much finer foam rubber, much finer, and will do a much nicer job and go a lot further. And don't think that they're not reusable. They really surely are reusable. So let's get to gathering our paints, and we'll. Okay, I've chosen 3 nice colors to use there. I've got golden brown, nutmeg brown, and barn red. And the simple way to do it is make sure your stuff is well mixed, of course. Let's see, we'll need some rag material here. Here's what's left of an old t-shirt. I could almost wear that, huh? The reason you need this is, like I said, it works almost, basically you're going to be dry patting to get the stuff on there. So, I wish I had a good pair of scissors laying around here somewhere. I know I've got good scissors in the house. I just don't know where they're at. Boy, howdy. I need to sharpen these. Yeah, don't that figure. Alrighty. Let's see. What did I do with that knife? There it is. Alrighty. Knives will, these sharp hobby knives will also cut material. I know I have a roll of paper towels out here somewhere that has gotten up and walked off. And God is really the only one who knows where it's at, because I sure don't. Alrighty. We're all getting set up here. And oh, guess what? This one's never really been opened. Ah, there we go. Put a little of that in there. Yeah, maybe a little more. All right. Some barn red. Yeah, that golden brown looks pretty good. Looks like it'll work just fine. Alright, and some nutmeg brown. And I've got several bottles of each color, I guess, so if one is bad, alrighty. Alright, now we're going to want to start where the undercoat, which is the what you do is you dip in some paint, then you come along here where you got and you get it to where it's almost dry. Then you come back to your building and you just start patting it a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't worry about not making it even. You don't want it even because you don't want all the same color next to one another. Okay. Grab another sponge because you're going to use each sponge for its own color. Now I'm going to put a little bit of barn red in there. Again, dip it off onto your rag. That's not going to hurt anything if you get paint on your hands, okay? And you do want to overlap where you've already put paint down. It gets it in there nice and subtly. And you see, as you can clearly see, the paint is already beginning to, it's already taking and and you're going to get it on your windows and you're going to get it on your doors. Don't worry about that. And you get a little bit more paint in there. And then we come off and we do this. Yeah. Because your majority color should probably be a brick red. or a barn red in this instance. As you can see, it's starting to come out a little bit. You're starting to see the brick come in. All right. Now let's get a little bit of golden brown in there, shall we? Again, always dab the paint onto the rag so that you don't get too much where you're covering, where it's just going right on into your mortar lines. And you can see how that kind of comes out that way, doesn't it? I don't know if you're seeing it on camera, but I'm sure seeing it here. Now let's go ahead and get a little bit more barn red on there. Alrighty. One color has to be a majority color, and in most instances where they built brick buildings, it's usually going to be like like what I'm using here, the barn red. Yeah, that's beginning to look pretty satisfactory there. Yes, I know, I'm getting the foundation. We can come back and we can touch up the foundation. The foundation, you're not going to hurt anything on that foundation. Don't worry about that. You know, when you get too much color into a given spot, you can always come back and just keep working it, and just keep working it. And you see now that the side of the building has got character, it's got color, and as you can see, of course I'm trying to focus in on it, if it'll focus in. Now, compared to the rest of the building, you've got color on there. Your bricks are showing through, and that's the whole idea. Oh, we're not done with the building yet. I mean, we're obviously not done with the building to go yet. So, that's just one side. Yeah, like I said, you're going to get it on your doors and you're going to get it on your windows. Don't worry about that. Those things can be touched up and cut in. And the reason you want to use these wedges like this is so you can come in and cut in under a window sill like that and still get all your brick colored. This does take some time. You can do this on all your plastic buildings that are representing brick. You can do it on bricks that are, made from scratch building materials. You can do this in many various ways. Remember, all you're doing is patting on the paint. And you don't have to go with any certain formula of how the paint's applied either. You can, you use your one color as a dominant color on one area and then use another color as the dominant color, as long as they're similar colors. Now, obviously, if you're going to paint a sign or something on there, you're going to want to do things a little bit differently, but then you're going to paint over the brick anyway, so. Don't press too hard, because what you'll do is you'll end up squeezing out a bunch of paint, and you'll end up in your mortar lines, and that's exactly what you do not want to do. Again, like I said, you're going to get it on the doors, you're going to get it on the windows. It's nothing to worry about. Just don't, now the reason I'm doing that, these windows and stuff were already installed when I got the building. The building was unpainted. So that's just a fact of life, of something that happens, even though you might start out using like 3 colors, you might end up only basically finishing up with 1 or 2. So it's not a yeah, see, now you see where I got too much in there. It's not going to hurt anything, but I got a little much in there. But as you can see, as you go across the back of the back side of this building, how far we're getting with this. Again, don't go in there and just squish down, because there is paint up in there that's wet, and what it will do is ruin your day, basically, and ruin your paint job. It'll squeeze out a whole bunch of paint, and then you'll find yourself stuck in a situation where you've got too much paint on the structure, and you're not going to get the effect you're looking for. Like I said, the doors and windows can be repainted and redone later. They don't have to be. You don't have to go around those perfectly. And often this is the kind of thing that'll happen on brick buildings that are already built, if you can't get the windows to pop out. Now, if you're building a kit, My advice would be to get your walls painted like this long before you start putting in doors and windows. Get your windows and doors painted separately. Yes, absolutely. But when you buy buildings at a train show, often those buildings are already built. They're glue bombs a lot of the time. Yes, they are. They are glue bombs a lot of the time. And because they are glue bombs, oh boy, I almost did that, didn't I? Ooh. All right. Now as you can see, I made the red on this wall pretty much the dominant color. We're going to go back over it with the other two colors. Alrighty. Like I said, you don't have to follow any specific formula here. It's kind of like doing scenery. You don't have to follow any specific formula. And you can go back over and by doing that, you're actually discoloring some bricks and leaving some bricks alone by doing this way. So and there you got it. Again, not a hard practice to do. I'm going to go ahead and finish up getting the brickwork done on this building, and then we'll come back and probably call it a day on this one. My RS1 decided to shred its traction tires too. Ain't that wonderful? Well, I'm not going to put that to video either. I'm sure y'all are getting tired of seeing how I put on traction tires. I think on that one I may wait a little while and see if I can find some traction tires that'll fit it. We just had that train sale yesterday. And I should have asked my friend Mike if he had any traction tires. My bad. I asked John if he had traction tires at one time, my buddy John, and I don't carry those. He's an old hippy dippy kind of guy. He's all right, but yeah, he never really thinks about stuff like that either. But then these guys, they like their post-war magnet traction. I'm not one who cares for that. So anyway, let me go ahead and finish the brickwork on this building, and we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. I don't carry those. He's an old hippy dippy kind of guy. He's all right, but yeah, he never really thinks about stuff like that either. But then these guys, they like their post-war magnet traction. I'm not one who cares for that. So anyway, let me go ahead and finish the brickwork on this building, and we'll come back and talk about it a little bit. Okay, as you can see, the brickwork is pretty much done. It doesn't take long to do that. You think it's going to take you forever. It doesn't. It doesn't take all that long. Yeah, it's a little time consuming. It can be a little tedious if you're not used to working at trying to make your buildings more realistic. But it doesn't take long to get it. Let's see, the color of the windows, doors, and of course the dome all have a kind of a cream color look, and I have some cream colors down here, so what I might just do is use that for that. The windows, that's where we go back to the old-fashioned paintbrush. Nice thing about these cheap craft paints is they're cheap, and they don't cost much, and you can throw little bits of it away by washing out your thingy. And same way with cosmetic sponges. You can just simply throw them away when you're done with them. Now it's time to see about coming in with some basic concrete colors and getting all of this painted in, getting the trim painted. And you're going to want to do it with a little bit smaller brush than you're using. You don't want to come in with a paintbrush that you're going to paint the sides of your house with. Now let's see here. Ah, here we go. Alrighty. Because believe it or not, that's not white. That's more of an off-white, kind of like khaki. So we're going to come in and basically paint this stuff up. And here's where you start covering your multitude of sins on how you got all that brick red all over all those brick colors all over this now. Now you've already got a good dry coat of paint on those, so you know they're going to cover fairly well, especially since you used a gray. So that means your other cheap craft paints are going to give you the kind of coverage you're looking for. Like I said, you come in, you got to use a much more detail-oriented brush to get her done. And you see how it's beginning to straighten up there, right? Got those small finials there. Just be careful going between them. You don't want to get it on the brick. Just use as steady a hand as you can and come in and get all that basically filled in and colored in. If you get a little on the brick, it's not going to hurt anything, but you know, it's understandable. It does happen, and I get that. Be sure you get that backside right here. Alrighty. And basically that's on the front and the back of the building. Now, you got parts of your building you know aren't going to show, so I don't know if I'm going to tell you that you got to paint that. I generally do. But it's not necessary. You're just basically cutting it in is all you're doing. A lot of the time those things would be cast or precast concrete that are put into the building right there. And it's just the design of the building. It's not supportive, it's not structural. It's just there. Sometimes they are structural. In older buildings, I imagine it would be structural and decorative at the same time. Now, mind you, if this isn't the way you do it, that's fine. That's up to you. I'm getting this here little vent window, or this little vent, this little round window looking thing here as well. And as you can see, it's starting to. There's a lot more design on the front here. You just really got to follow the lines. Just like you did on the first one there. Like I said, I don't know if this building is Plasticville or not, but yeah, I'm like everybody else. I like the Woodland Scenics built buildings too, and I'd love to have some of those, but you know, I haven't seen those come up on the used market at all. But a lot of the time, those designs are made in precast concrete. So, yes, these uprights, these pillars, these little pillars here, are also a part of it. Remember, if you get some on the brick, you can touch the brick up, so. Alrighty. Okay, that was a fun little mess to make. I'm going to go ahead and get the window on that little side piece there. Often the window sills and stuff that you see on some of these buildings, they weren't added. They were built right in with the concrete or the masonry structure. So they're masonry also. It's really beginning to take on a finished look. Alrighty. Yes, this can be tedious going around the building just like this. I know. I've been there. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, what a pain that is. Yeah, some people don't want to do it. And then they sit there and complain that their buildings don't have a realistic look to them. Well, paint the building. These parts were molded in that I'm working on now. So the nice thing about these craft paints, they paint on beautifully with a brush, especially once you have a flat surface to paint onto. And when I say a flat surface, that means it's a flat painted surface. They don't like to, of course, go down too well on a glossy plastic surface or anything like that. They will. You got to coax them. And I was considering taking this building out and painting it gray with primer, with Rust-Oleum primer. Doesn't hurt a thing. But I thought, you know, there's And our City Hall is beginning to take on a finished look. And like I said, if you get a little paint on the brick, it's not going to hurt anything. Chances are, once we weather this building, you won't notice it anyway. Dang nation. Alrighty, we're going to knock out the window here. Again, you can tell that this is, it'll go on it okay. This paint is anyway. And any paint we got on it before, it's getting covered up, so that's the main thing. And it's taking on its own color, and that's good. That's okay, that part's been cut in. I'm going to take a break. And the next time y'all see this building, it's going to be pretty much completely done. And ready to set on the layout. Okay, I have not finished the building quite yet. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make this kind of the ending of part one, and part two, we'll come back and I should have all the detail painting finished at that time, but you can see the difference between this side of the building and that side of the building. You can see that it's starting to take shape, and once all of that is done, then we'll go ahead and we'll paint the roof, and then we'll come in and do a black wash. I don't know what I'm going to do about the dome tower there and the clock tower. The clock tower looks almost nice enough. We just really need to put a black wash on it. And just basically weather it up that way. But the building does need to have some weathering. Maybe some extra details, like maybe an outside light over the door, and maybe some downspouts and things of that nature. And those are all items that you would add on a cheapy building like this. They should exist on a much more expensive building. But this is the end of part one. Part two of building the courthouse, or rebuilding the courthouse, will, it's not even rebuilding, is it? It's just refinishing the courthouse, refurbishing the courthouse. That's what we'll call it. Yeah. Okay. All right, so part two will be coming probably in a few days. unless I get plenty of work, and then it'll be a little longer. But in the meantime, I want to wish y'all happy railroading. I was able to be of some assistance on this, on getting a building to look more like a real building. See you later.